Well, hey there, everybody. It's time to read The Mister. I know it's our favorite time of the week, right? So, chapter 18 ended with Maxim getting kissed by a drunk lady at the party that they're at the evil Russian's house, because apparently everybody who is past a certain point in Europe are all savage monsters. Anyway, they're at the horrible Russians party, and Maxim has just been kissed by some drunk strumpet, and we're gonna have to listen to the whole drama about it right now. Keep in mind, I feel like I haven't done a reminder on this in a while. I have not read ahead. In the Brittany book, I read and I highlighted and I carefully thought about everything I wanted to say, but in this book, you are getting the unfiltered, raw, the thoughts I am having as I am reading these chapters. So, yeah. They might not sound... My Kindle just tried to leap out of my hands. It just leapt out. It doesn't want this to happen to it. I don't want this to happen to us, but here we are on this magical journey. Before we get started on this chapter, because the problem starts immediately, we have to remember that this is a book where no one can communicate about anything at all. Because if they spoke to each other or behaved like mature adults and they addressed issues and were honest about their feelings, then nothing in this book would work. There would be absolutely no tension at all. And there isn't. But to some people who don't understand how relationships should work or what a good relationship is, then this is all going to seem perfectly reasonable behavior, right? But just be aware that I'm already furious because I know what's going to happen. I haven't read ahead, but I know what's going to happen. And not because it was spoilered or anything. That's not how I know. I just know because I am familiar with this author's modus operandi, okay? I don't know if that's how you say it, but I'm from the Midwest, okay? I'm not fancy. I didn't do Latin. Right away, the reaction is super dramatic. Alesia looks away, the sight too painful to endure as her head spins and bile rises in her throat. She swallows down the bitter taste, feeling lightheaded. The room is suddenly too warm and too small for her to remain. The notion that she's intruding on her husband crystallizes in her mind. So she sees this drunk bitch at a party grab her husband and kiss him, and she is so upset that she's about to vomit, and she feels like she's intruding on him. The thing is, in a normal relationship, the way this goes is the wife goes, "What the fuck?" And then they get into a fight in front of the whole party, and then eventually it works out because he's like, "I don't know what happened. She grabbed me. She kissed me. I mean, go ask Dave. He was standing right there. I was not trying to get anything going with her, I swear." But here's the thing. With Alesia and Maxim, Maxim has already proven that he is not going to run around cheating on her, as far as I'm concerned. He was willing to go to Albania to rescue her from human traffickers. And now this has happened. She has to believe, if he tells her, "Yeah, no, she grabbed me and kissed me," there should be trust enough there. If someone rescues you from human traffickers, there has to be enough trust there that you can, accept that reasonably. By the way, we're like a paragraph into this, and I'm already just so bored with how this is all gonna go down. She thinks about how Carolyn warned her that this is how he is. I don't know why we're still trusting Carolyn for anything at all, but somehow we are. Of course, the lecherous Russian that was all over her a minute ago, she's like, "I need to get some air," and Henrietta, who is being referred to as Henry, just inconsistently. Sometimes it's Henrietta, sometimes it's Henry, and I'm like, who the fuck is Henry, right? I just pick up this thing and I'm like, who is Henry? So she's like, "Oh, I'll go get some help," because she says she needs to step outside for air. How fragile is Alesia? "I need to go get help." This is how you can tell that it's a Poldark fanfic. Somebody feels faint and we gotta go rush on a 911, right? But The evil, horrible Russian, the terrible, oily, disgusting Slavic gentleman, grabs Alessia's hand and takes her to a secret passage behind a bookcase. And she follows him behind this bookcase. Ma'am, you have been human trafficked once. You have been kidnapped twice. Twice you have been kidnapped. Now, I don't like to victim blame, but now you are letting a strange man take you down a secret passageway hidden by a bookcase. Okay? I'm just saying that your situational awareness may have led to some of these problems you have had in the past. So, we go into Maxim's POV, and he tells the chick that kissed him, Charlotte, to sit down because she's drunk and he's married. And she's like, oh, you married your daily. So we're back to that. And of course, Caroline has caused more problems. We knew that she would, because when he asks her, like, if she's there on her own or with a friend, she waves toward the crowd in the courtyard. Caroline said, what? My scalp crawls. What did Caroline say? Charlotte shakes her head. That you'll fuck any woman with a pulse. Why is Caroline walking around this party trash-talking him? Why? Because we know why. Because she's blonde. She's a... Oh, no! Oh, you can't trust a word I say in this wig. Oh, no. You cannot trust a word I say in this wig. I know, I felt like Barbie until I sat down and I started reading this, and now I feel like Glenn Close in Fatal Attraction. Charlotte starts crying because Maxim dumped her and she wasn't the one that ended up with him. He's like, oh yeah, there's more fish in the sea. Actually, I'll read what he says. Charlotte, show some bloody dignity. Plenty more fish and all that bollocks. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to find my wife. Like... she's like literally crying, and he's like, yeah, plenty of fish and all that bollocks. Yeah, she shouldn't have kissed him, but she's drunk, and you clearly hurt her. So Maxim, once he's done with a woman, completely disregards them and just throws them away, is what I'm getting from this, because of the reactions of a lot of the women that he encounters that we're supposed to interpret as jealousy. But now that I've read this interaction with Charlotte and how drunk she is and how his response is to just be like, yeah, there, I'm married. He also shows his ring to her, by the way. She's crying, and he shows her his ring. So I feel like maybe he hurt these chicks. And, you know, while it's not appropriate to grab someone and kiss them, especially when they're married, he could have some fucking compassion, man. So he goes to find Alesia. Glancing up at the mezzanine, I can see Henry looking at one of the bookcases. Alarm skitters down my spine. Where's Alesia? Where's Grisha? Alarm skitters down your spine because you saw someone looking at a bookcase? How do you know she's not just looking at the books and Alessia's in the bathroom? But alarm better skitter down. I swear, they act like a couple who cheats. Not because some chick kissed him, but because the second they're out of each other's line of sight, it's this huge problem. This is the weirdest part of the book so far. I work my way through the crowd, ignoring the curious looks and the odd offer of condolences and congratulations, and vault up the spiral staircase. Henry! Exclamation point. Where's Alesia? I snap. Maxim, hi! She disappeared with Grisha through this bookcase. What? Why? To go to fucking Narnia! To get kidnapped! This bitch is constantly getting kidnapped! I start feeling around the bookcase and find the hidden button. First of all, it's not a button. It's, everybody knows it's a candelabra thing. You pull it down, and then the thing turns, okay? Watch Scooby-Doo. So the bookcase comes open, okay? But they find the button. The bookcase comes open, and they go down this passage. They go down the hallway, and it just leads to a terrace, basically. It's not like a kidnapping tunnel. It's like a terrace. Not terrorist. Oh, my God. Terrace. Like a little garden, like a little balcony type thing. Okay, not terrorist. God, we're not going to get into that in this book. That'll be the next one. A couple in a dark corner among the lush pot plants are having sex against the wall. It does say pot plants. The lush pot plants are having sex against the wall. I know that it means potted, that they call but I'm going to imagine that it's cannabis. That there's people living their best lives, having sex at a party, surrounded by the skunkiest smelling plants you could imagine. I catch a glimpse of blonde hair, and I'm relieved it's not my wife. Why would you even think it was your wife, Maxim? Why don't you two trust each other? He sees that on the other side of the terrace, there's like a window and a curtain has closed, so he's like, they must be in there. Suddenly furious, I bolt through the terrace door, turn right, and burst through the bedroom door. 3 men in various states of undress and arousal turn to face me in all their glory. A fourth is snorting a line of coke. Shit. I'm so sorry. I back up immediately, almost knocking over Henry, who's hot on my heels. Don't go in there. It's Ganymede Central. I think it's Ganymede. I think that's how you say Ganymede. I think that's, I'm trying to read it. It's like, but whatever. What it is it's this Greek guy who was like, it was like a Greek boy who was picked out of the Trojans to be I don't know, to be like a servant to Zeus or something. Basically, he's saying it's like gay dude central in there. He's basically just, he might as well have just said the slur. Just say the F slur. Why is everything this bitch writes so fucking homophobic? Like, what did gay people ever do to her? Grisha leads Alesia into the kitchen, where he barks at one of the staff in what Alesia assumes is Russian. What would lead you to make such a wild assumption? What would make one assume? Why was that needed? Why did she have to assume it was Russian? A Russian person starts speaking like a Slavic sounding language. Like, no, it was Portuguese. But anyway, he has taken her to the kitchen. Somehow the tunnel leads to a terrace that leads to a gay coke orgy, but also the kitchen. I'm actually really enjoying this chapter. So Alesia is like so upset. She tells Grisha she just wants to leave the party. He is going to call his driver and she's going to go home. She's like, why are you being so kind to me? And he's like, well, because you're talented and beautiful. It's like, well, duh. Why is anyone being kind to you, Alesia? Because nobody's really interested in anything you have to say or you having any sort of agency. It's because you're beautiful and talented. You're like a fuckable stereo. So she thinks about how mad Maxim's going to be, and then she's like, well, I'm mad too, so I'm gonna do it anyway. I'm gonna leave. I cannot find my wife. I've been in the basement where the fun is heating up. Several people are naked in the swimming pool, and writhing bodies cover the floor of the softly lit studio. A woman flings herself at me, throwing her arms around my neck, cocaine dust on her upper lip. I gently set her aside. You know, here's... well, I'm gonna be, like, totally honest. This sounds like an awesome party, and I wish that we were hanging out and hearing the stories of literally any of the people at this party that is not Maxim. I'm looking for my wife, I growl. A quick scan of the bacchanalian horde in the studio tells me that Alessia's not a participant. Not that I'd expect her to be here. Not my sweet, innocent wife. Ugh. The sweet, innocent wife. You guys are constantly fucking. I don't get why you're still like, so innocent, so virginal, so what? You know what? I wish he did find her in the middle. I wish that she had been like, oh, that's what's gonna happen? Fine. I'm gonna go join the 4-guy coke orgy. I'm gonna sit in the corner and crank it. Fuck you, Maxim. I head back upstairs, pull out my phone, and call Alesia once more. Where are you? I snap when I get her voicemail again, and I try to think what would make her run. Someone from her recent past? Maybe the traffickers. Perhaps they have her again. This is my darkest fear. Okay, so, she gets out of his sight at a big crowded party, and he thinks she's been human trafficked. Now that I've seen her go through the bookcase with this guy, I totally get it. However, on the other hand, dude, you think she's at the party and you're calling her and you're snapping at her because you're like, you know, where are you? Like while she's at a party because she's gotten out of your sight. Trust issues. Alessia's in this car. It's a Bentley. We have to know for some reason that the car is bulletproof. I don't know if that means she's gonna get kidnapped again or what. She thinks about how he was kissing another woman. Carolyn warned her. She thinks about reformed rakes make the best husband. She thinks about him as her mister. You know, just a callback to the title of the last book. And how she's like doing this whole self-pity thing. Like, I knew this is what was going to happen. I knew this was what was going to happen. We have like not had enough of a buildup of these. I mean, we have had a buildup of her doubts. I'll give it that. But I just don't see where the doubt is coming from anymore. And the only place I can see where the doubt would be coming from is the fact that they don't talk. And that she doesn't tell any of this to him. Like, she never says, I'm worried about this. Or when she tries to bring up his past, he doesn't want to talk about it. So it's what is happening is that they are not communicating, and I'm supposed to feel this high drama, but I don't. What I feel is frustration because they are not communicating. Was it always going to come to this? A decision to stay or go? And for a moment, Alesia thinks of her mother and how her mother decided to stay, and her father is far worse than Maxim. Perhaps this is the lot of women as it has been for all time. Yeah, sure. This is a misunderstanding, and now at this point it is sprawled into an abusive relationship in her mind. There is no, the tension in this book is completely unearned. The conflict in this book is completely unearned. Maxim catches up to Grisha. He's like, no, she wanted to go home, so I let her take the car. He thinks about how he wants to punch the guy. The guy's like, you should take better care of her. In the cloakroom, I hand in my ticket and collect not just my coat, but Alessia's too. She's left without her fucking coat, and she couldn't be bothered to tell me. What the hell? What did I do? Okay, so I realized that what it means is that she left and she didn't tell him, but it sounds like what he's saying is that he's mad that she left without telling him that she didn't take her coat. Maybe she's having second thoughts. I brought her to this den of iniquity and depravity, and she is disgusted. Let's face it, Alesia has not seen how the over-affluent can behave. Fuck, I didn't think of this. You knew you were bringing her into a house where, like, you could stumble onto a coke orgy. You really thought, like, you were like, yeah, I'm gonna take her to this party. And then you're like, oh man, I completely forgot about the gay coke orgies. What? Okay, Plus, I really like the idea that it's a den of iniquity and depravity, when it just sounds like people are having a good time and doing drugs and having sex. Like, it's not like they're doing anything bad, like, they're just having a good time. I don't get why it's such a big deal. Don't worry, when Alesia gets back to the house, there aren't any paparazzi. She checks her voicemails, and she's like, oh, he sounds angry and confused and hurt. And she's like, yeah, but he doesn't even think he did anything wrong. And it's like, you guys haven't even talked. All you had to do was go over and just, like, see what was going on. You just had to walk across the room and see what is going on. And instead, you went with a strange man through a secret passage. I don't understand. Alesia storms out of the elevator and, using her key, opens the apartment door, slamming the door behind her. I'm glad we walked through all the steps, because I was like, I don't fucking know how doors work. The alarm is off. Did they not set it when they left? The familiar cloying scent of expensive perfume hangs in the air, and the hairs on Alessia's neck stand to attention. The click-click of high heels alerts her to the end of the hallway, and standing in the doorway of the living room is Maxim's mother. Maxim's mom can just, like, get in the house. Like, that's a boundary. Of course, the same thing happened with Caroline, though. She just kind of came in and set up a party. In the back of the cab, my anger mounts. What the hell was she thinking? Abandoning me at a party. But why? I don't understand what's happened. Did Grisha say something? Did Caroline? Then he finally gets, like, he, like, runs through this whole thing in his mind. He's finally like, oh no! Maybe she saw me kiss Charlotte. Charlotte kissed me, not the other way around. I have 0 designs on my ex. I have 0 designs on any other woman. Surely Alesia should know that. Why would she doubt me? And the fact that she does doubt me grinds my gears. All I can think about is Peter Griffin and his "that really grinds my gears" thing on Family Guy. Oh my god. She's punishing me for something that's not my fault, and punishing me with the worst of my fears. It's aggravating. Actually, I'm fucking furious. Why the hell would she think I'd be interested in anyone else? We're gonna get to, he gets to that realization, but let me just take a moment here. It's infuriating to me that he's blaming her and acting like she's somehow being manipulative when she doesn't have all the information that he has, and then punishing me with my worst fear. And I'm fucking furious. Like, ugh. Anyway. And from nowhere, loud and clear, the thought rings like a klaxon through my head. Because of your past, your reputation. Fuck. My mood plummets even further. I'm going to have to convince my wife, again, that my past is in the past. When have you really convinced her, though? Like, you've said stuff, but, like, he has not, he's just been like, trust me, just trust me, just trust me. Has he mentioned why this stuff was going on? Has he been like, hey, I met you and I realized how empty that life was for me? Has he done any? No, he changes the subject. He's just like, oh, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Why would you worry about it, Alesia? Why would you be worried about this? Don't you know? Don't you know? We go back into Alessia's POV. Rowena is like, oh yeah, I really like your earrings. You know, you didn't waste a lot of time getting your hands on all of our jewels and such. And I'm thinking, yeah, well, your ancestors probably didn't waste their time getting their hands on all those jewels in India and Africa, so why don't you just go fuck yourself? And then Rowena offers her money to lead. Oh, God, here it comes. Here it comes. What did I tell you? What have I been saying? What have I been saying this whole book? My friend Heath has been doing a little investigation. Turns out you haven't followed the correct procedure in this farce of a marriage to my son. It can be easily annulled. So, we did all the paperwork. Are we going to find out that the Albanian paperwork is wrong because it's all crooked and the people that live in Albania are all criminals? Because that's what I'm thinking we're about to find out. Rowena smiles, a smile so chilling that a shiver runs down Alessia's back. I'll write you a check and you can go. Lead the life you were meant to lead. Not this one. It's not for you. And it's not for Maxim either. He'll need someone with a gentility and refinement that you couldn't possibly achieve. Someone with breeding who won't bring scorn and embarrassment to the Trevithick legacy. He needs someone worthy. Someone who can offer him more. And it's not you, my dear. What could you possibly give him? He's only married you to spite me. He's a man who likes a good time. I'm sure you're aware of what I mean by that. It won't be long until he strays. He doesn't want the job of the earldom, and he's set himself up to fail by marrying you. You can see that, can't you? So how much? I don't know what I was expecting at the end of that little speech. Because what I was expecting is that she would be like, I know, I saw him kissing another woman, and even though I saw him hug Caroline before, and it turned out to be totally innocent, I'm gonna jump to a conclusion right now, and I'm just gonna take the money and leave. Like, I expect that to happen. I expected that to happen. Why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I? Because every bit of conflict in this is driven by people not talking. So my assumption would be that she would then, you know, throw a hissy and run away. But what happens is, I want nothing from you, Alesia whispers, her heart beating a frantic tattoo. And maybe if you'd been a better mother, your son might have a better respect for women and chosen someone with all the qualities you wish for in a daughter-in-law. Kind of a self-burn there. But maybe because you are his mother, he didn't. He chose me, and I'm glad to say I am nothing like you. Yeah, and then Alesia literally goes to the door and is like, time to go. But that's when Maxim gets home, and we go into his POV. When I opened my front door, I'm met by my mother and my wife facing off in the hall, in an atmosphere so frigid it might freeze my nuts off. My relief that Alesia is home and safe is tempered by my anxiety. What in the name of hell is going on here? And that is where chapter 20 ends. I don't know. I feel like every video ends with me going, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. Because honestly, I will say I was surprised. I thought what was going to happen was that Alesia would be so heartbroken by seeing Maxim kiss another woman that she would just be like, okay, I'm just gonna take enough money to like survive, and I'm gonna go back to my life as a cleaning lady and get kidnapped like every 14 to 16 days, and Maxim's gonna have to come rescue me again, and it's gonna be like a whole thing. I honestly, I thought that's how it was gonna go. I really did. I thought that it was gonna, obviously the marriage thing is gonna come up again. Obviously we're gonna hear about how it was all backwards and crooked because Albania. But, like I said, I was surprised. I was truly, truly surprised, even though she did an immense self-burn in the middle of that little tirade, where she's like, yeah, well, maybe he would have picked a better woman than me. If he respected women more, he wouldn't have picked me. Like, shh. Quit while you're ahead. But, yeah, so that was chapter 19 of The Mister. It continues to just be... The thing is, though, I do feel like it's moving faster, that I feel like there is more plot. I mean, there's very little plot in here besides people not talking to each other, but I do feel there is more going on, and the pace is moving a bit faster than The Mister. Because so far in this book, we have been to Albania, and trust me, I didn't think that would happen the way it started out. So far, we've been to Albania, they've gotten married, they've gone on their honeymoon, they've come back, there's the genetic testing thing, there's the Maxim's weird life, like with his sexual past thing, there's Alessia's gonna go to music school, there's just a lot more happening in this book, because in The Mister, it was like, Maxim gets horny for his housekeeper, and they go away to Cornwall, and then they come back from Cornwall, and then she gets kidnapped, and then he goes to a museum, and he's sure to pack his running gear before he goes to rescue her from human traffickers. So that book was so needlessly long for like a sliver of plot, but I am starting to feel like maybe this book started out like really slow at that same like sort of glacial pace of the last one, and I'm starting to think that it's going to speed up really hardcore in this last 40%. I'm not saying that in a good way. I'm not saying that it's going to make it a good book, or that I'm going to suddenly want to read everything E.L. James has ever written. Oh shit, I almost have. But what I'm saying is it's going to feel different. And it might be a little, like just a slight bit less infuriating than The Mister was. Okay, so check out the description box for other places you can find my work. My serial that's currently publishing on Kindle Vella and Ream and Patreon. There's links down there. And catch my Buffy recaps, catch my Bridgerton reacts, because I'm back to doing those. And hopefully things will be back to normal schedule-wise next week, because, oh man, just that first week of the year, I'm telling you, what a nightmare. Other than that, I will catch you on the flip side.